Welcome to the Silicon Slopes Conversations. Today we are joined by Ryan and Jeff Gardner, co-founders of BuckedUp. And today let's all get bucked up together. Thank you. You've brought some samples here. I've got the Burn watermelon.
Yeah, LFG Burn. Yep, it's our first 12-ounce can that we've released. In the LFG, there's 2 fat-burning ingredients in there. And it's mitoburn and grains of paradise, which actually helps speed up metabolism, speed up burning calories, that type of thing. So those are the LFG cans. And then we have the black cans, just warning you now, the black cans are 300 milligrams of caffeine, so maybe drink half. And then the white cans are 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is what we prefer, because if we take a pre-workout in the morning, we just want a little kick in the afternoon. So we do the white cans.
There you go. So if anyone's already chugged a couple of the black cans,
yeah.
We're in
Double
for
fisted there.
Here we go. Well, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Let's start with your background, like where you guys grew up, how you grew up, and how that has been a part of your lives, and how it instills kind of the principles behind entrepreneurship and BuckedUp.
Well, we grew up in Clearfield, Utah. I don't know if you guys know where that is. It's Hill Air Force Base area. And it's kind of by Layton and Ogden area. And we grew up on a farm. And my dad was known as the meanest dad in Clearfield. He was so mean that one
this
time...
is like just normal, but...
I forgot to feed the chickens for about 7 days.
And then we had 50 or 60 chickens laying about 50 eggs a day.
He came in and he said, "Who's in charge of the chickens?" And Ryan goes, "Jeff." And he proceeded to kick my butt all the way out to the chicken coop. And he had boots on, and I happened to block it one time. And he broke my arm in half.
Both places.
And we go to the hospital, and he said, "Hey, how did he break his arm?" And he said, "I kicked his butt. He didn't feed the chickens." And he said, "When you cast it, just make sure there's enough so that he can still hold the bucket." Can you believe that? Nowadays, you'd never get away with it.
You would go to prison nowadays.
But one thing it taught us was how to work real hard. And we're not afraid of hard work. We worked extremely hard, and it was just that old school mentality. I mean, our grandpa would kick our butts and spank us.
He'd spank us all the time.
And my dad would spank the neighbors. And if the neighbor kids came up, if the parents came over, he'd say, "Don't make me stand up and spank you." You know, he was a tough dude. So we worked really, really hard. And that helped us a lot. It really did. I think hard work is underrated, especially nowadays. And it's perpetuated through our whole career, in our business. And we went on missions when we were 19 for the church, and we worked hard there, and we came back, and my dad stopped being a farmer before our missions. He basically lost his farming business because of an ordeal with his partner, but we started doing some jewelry business, and we owned some stores in the malls in Utah where you would pierce ears. It's kind of like a Claire's. I pierced more belly buttons in Utah than anybody else. It was hot at the time, and every BYU girl would come up they got their first time away from their parents, and they'd come up and get their belly button or their ears pierced. So it's a crazy job. But,
rough.
But so we did that, and one day, I mean, my parents were paying me $10 an hour to run 8 of their jewelry stores. And they thought that was normal. And Ryan calls me up because he went off and started doing his own thing. And he said, "How much did you make last week?" And I said, "Well, I make $1,600 for the month." And Ryan said, "Well, I made $2,200 last week." And I said, "Sign me up. Where do I go?" And he could tell you what he was doing at the time.
I was actually working on a sales floor, and I had some missionary buddies that said, "Hey, we're making good money. Come over and call on these seminar leads that people would attend a seminar." and we would get the leads on our desk, and then we would call and we'd upsell them coaching and mentoring.
Boiler room style.
Yeah, it was pretty high pressure sales. There was quite a few sales floors in Utah at the time. I ended up going and working there, and it's just a matter of working hard, and it's getting the number of dials, and I was willing to put it in. And sure enough, right away I was starting to make really good money, and that's when I was bragging to Jeff.
Ryan is a little more aggressive. That's why he got shipped to Alaska. But he usually takes the first step, and then I kind of follow him. And that's worked for us
our whole life.
Our whole lives, basically. And so he said the guy that's making the money for this sales floor is the guy who's producing the leads. And we were pretty outgoing and energetic, and we happened to have a car dealership growing up. After our missions, I got a car dealership, and we started doing cars. And we asked the guy who was producing the leads for our sales floor if he wanted to go buy a car because he started making some good money. So Ryan went with him, and he said, hey, can I, come down? And he lived in St. George. He said, can I come and help you figure this out with you? And the guy's like, sure. I don't really know what I'm doing. I have one website there's a banner on a place called freelotto.com. They have to go pick their numbers, and in order to submit their submission, they have to click my banner and come to my site and visit it. And he said, and I know if 100 people go to that site, I'm going to get like 2 or 3 people to buy the program. Then they would give it to the sales floor. So Ryan said, yeah, sure, I'll come down and do it. And shortly after, this was back in 2000. We were kind of ahead of the times for jumping on the internet. Ryan didn't even know how to work a mouse.
Well, keep in mind, I went down there and I said, hey, they go, hey, you just send an attachment. And I'm like, how do you send an attachment by email? And they all looked, I remember them all turning around like, who is this guy in our office? Because I had never even sent an email before at that point.
So essentially, email came on really strong. They could actually harvest emails back in the day and send it out, spam. There's no canned spam law. That came out in 2003. You could send out emails, and everybody would open it, and everybody would read it. So Ryan started producing leads for sales floors or different items. And he said, Jeff, do you want to start something together? So, again, I just followed with Ryan. And
Jeff was still working on the sales floor at the time.
So we just started our own little business selling other things because the company Ryan worked for didn't want to sell like weight loss and other things. So we started that. We did really well. There was 4 of us. We hired our younger brother and our brother-in-law. There was 4 of us. We were doing about $20 million in revenue, and we were profiting about 25%. So it's pretty good for 4 people. And that helped us because we started generating leads for everyone, even sales floors, and it led us down a long road. But really, we were into the internet. And then Ryan could tell you a little bit about how we got started with internet sites and domains.
Yeah, so what happened is when we were working together with the 4 of us, we were generating a lot of leads for people. We actually had a guy come in. My dad said, hey, I'm taking this product. And the guy said, he went to the owner of the guy who had the product and said, hey, you really should talk to my boys. This product really works. You should talk to my boys. And we said, hey, come on in. By the time he walked out of the business, we owned half of his company. We said, we'll do all the marketing. You do all the fulfillment. And we just need to make sure that you have enough product and fulfillment. This was a product called L-Arginine Plus. And this product helps reduce high blood pressure naturally. So people who have high blood pressure, they're on medication. This just helps. L-Arginine is a vasodilator, so it helps expand the blood vessels and allows blood to flow more easily. So by the time we were done talking to him, we owned 50% of the company, and we started producing traffic for him. He was doing about $700 a day, and within 3 or 4 weeks, we were doing about $3,000 a day on that product. And we just wanted to make sure that he could manufacture and keep it in stock at that point. Shortly thereafter, we bought a domain name that was $25,000 called larginine.com. We noticed that the people who were doing really well online, they actually would buy the exact match domain for what somebody was searching for. So we ended up buying larginine.com, and it just so happened to be about a month after that, they turned off all the pay-per-click for L-arginine and all nitric oxide, because Big Pharma was like, hey, they're promoting like ED, erectile dysfunction, like a few things with L-arginine that there's benefits to. And so we ended up all of a sudden getting all of that traffic that was going on the pay-per-clicks. They were all coming to the first person who ranked, and we just happened to be ranked number 1. And we were doing about $4 to $5 million a year until we eventually ended up selling L-arginine Plus to a manufacturer that wanted all the manufacturing. So that was something that we were doing just on the side. In the meantime, we just happened to run across a product, and we looked at each other and go, hey, supplements are real good. Supplements get searched a lot, they get taken a lot, and what's nice is they take it every 30 days. They buy another bottle. So we really liked that fact. Then we happened to be reading an article in Sports Illustrated that said deer antler spray gets banned in Major League Baseball. And we were like, what's deer antler spray? And we thought it was is it a hunting product? But what does it have to do with sports? We come to find out that deer antler spray is deer antler velvet extract in this spray, where you spray it under your tongue to absorb. And what it does is it helps someone recover really quickly. Well, they were saying that it gives an athlete an edge, and that's why they didn't want people taking deer antler spray.
So we decided to go to GoDaddy, and we looked up deerantlerspray.com, and it was available for $6.99.
So
we just paid $25,000 for one, and why doesn't anybody have this? So we bought it. Ryan ended up sourcing product out of Florida, and we came up with a cool logo. You know, we like the antlers and different things, and we did it black and red. That was our flagship colors. And we come into the office actually I should say this, we were only selling 5 or 10 bottles a day. We're like, why? Nobody read this Sports Illustrated article. Yeah. They just look at it for the swimsuit issue, I think. Yeah. And so we were hoping that we sold all the product before it expired. It was going so slow. There wasn't very many searches and things for it. One day we walk into the office, and there is 100 orders. And since we're from the affiliate marketing world, we said, are these fraud? Are these fraud orders? Another 5 minutes, another 100 orders. And we're like, what's going on? Sure enough, somebody called us on the phone and said, turn on ESPN right now. And we turn on ESPN, and right there, it says on the screen, Ray Lewis gets accused of taking deer antler spray, which is banned in the NFL. And it couldn't have been better, because this was Super Bowl media week. A reporter comes up and says, Ray Lewis had torn his tricep 3 weeks earlier. And then he said he was going to be able to play in the game. And they said, how? And a reporter pulls up a receipt and says, I have receipts right here that show that you bought deer antler spray, which is banned. And he played this perfect for us, because he goes, I bought it, but I didn't take it.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, yeah, right.
And you can't test for deer antler spray. You just can't test for it.
You can't test for it. So everybody said, well, what's deer antler spray? And they guess what name they put in Google? Deer antler spray. Guess who was ranking number 1? We were selling bottles so fast, because it was on the news every 5 minutes. And we were buying these deer antler spray bottles for $5, and we were selling them for $39. We said, we got to mark it up, because we're going to run out. We mark it up to $59. Doesn't slow. Mark it up to $79. Doesn't slow. We marked it up to $99 and sold 2,600 bottles in one day. And that was all of our stock. So we sold out.
And the very next day, GNC calls us and says, how fast can you fulfill 30,000 bottles? So with a little bit of work, hard work, a little bit of opportunity, and a lot of luck.
Blessings.
Yes, we got a call from GNC, and we fulfilled 30,000 bottles in like 3 weeks. And then they continued to sell about 1,500 to 2,000 bottles a week in their stores. And we were also selling online as well. And then we would go to these conferences, and at these conferences, we saw everybody selling everything else, and we saw what was hot. And we saw that pre-workouts were doing really well at these GNC franchisees. And people were producing and taking pre-workouts. We had no idea what a pre-workout was at the time, to be honest. And then we decided, hey, let's come up with a pre-workout. And what we ended up doing is we ran into one of the GNC franchisees and said, hey, why do these products sell better than the others? And he goes, you know what, hypothetically thinking, we could probably put together a pre-workout that would do better than all of these because all of them aren't doing what I think would do well. And so we ended up hiring that GNC franchisee to help us come up with a formula. And at the time, there was only one pre-workout called Pre-Gym that would actually disclose exactly what was in their formula. And we said, you know what? We're going to come out with a game-changing formula. We're going to put everything we're going to put clinically proven ingredients at their clinical amounts. And we're going to disclose exactly what we put in it.
And the biggest key is we said, we got to make this taste good. We went and taste tested some of these pre-workouts, and literally you had to plug your nose.
To taste.
And we were like, why does this taste so bad? They're like, hey, if it tastes bad, it works. That means it works. Yeah. So we just came out with the best tasting and best working.
And that's
formula.
when we came out with, and we said, hey, let's keep along with the deer theme and let's call it Bucked Up. And it was marketable. We went to the GoDaddy. I looked it up, and sure enough, it was available for sale for $1,500. I didn't even question it. I didn't try to negotiate. I was like, buy. And we ended up purchasing Bucked Up because it was so catchy. And our term is get bucked up, right?
Our parents don't like the name.
Yeah, our parents can't stand the name.
At first, they would. Well, I should say at first they cringed and said, "That's too close. That's too close."
We were
and
like,
now
exactly.
It just rolls off their tongue. You know, our boys own Bucked Up
Yeah.
and started it and things.
And even some of the other names that we have for some of our products, we have to pretend that there's something else telling our parents
Like
what they
woke AF. Our parents asked what it stands for, and we said it's woke American fork. That's where we're made.
That's where we produce it. So, yeah, and then we decided to do Bucked Up. We quickly became the #1 bestseller because we were out there promoting and marketing. Hey, non-proprietary blend. Just ask the competitors what they have in theirs, and they couldn't answer the questions. And we put so much more. Our formula was really effective. It tastes great, and we were really good at marketing.
That's pretty much the story.
Love it.
Yep. And we've taken off since then. So.
Okay, so a lot of things in the foundation set the table for this. Learning how to use the internet, send attachments.
Yeah. Send
Big
attachments.
deal. Learning how to buy domain names.
Yep.
Obviously a lot of hard work, but these affiliate networks, if you can summarize quickly, like ultimately how did they work? And I feel like there's synergies with like what you do now with ambassadors and possibly influencers, but.
Yeah, when there was 4 of us and we were doing that 20 million, what we did was we came up with an affiliate network. So we actually went out to find anybody who could email, anybody who could put a banner on Yahoo, anybody who could do pay-per-click. They would all come to us, and we would focus on producing the best offer for them to run. So, you know, they call them click funnels today. But we were like, oh, is that what you're calling them? Because we've been doing this for years. But the guy who came up with ClickFunnels, he's really doing good at marketing those. But we would help the people make a converting page, and then we would approach our advertisers. They'd say, somebody would come to us and say, I have a bottle of these pills or this stuff, and can you sell it? And we'd say, okay, give us $40 for every sell. And we would turn around to our 300 affiliates and say, we're going to pay you $35 a sell. So we would just make a little $5 rip. And the thing is we had so many affiliates, we could do 2,000 sales a day on this one product.
And we had multiple products we were producing for a lot of different people.
All right. So as you guys start to get your products with Bucked Up, which is now hundreds, right? Yeah. The affiliate network / ambassador program, how did you guys apply that to what you were doing in the early days of Bucked Up?
Yeah, we paid some girl a smoking hot girl. She had 600,000 followers on Instagram. And we said, man, she's going to help us get this out there. And she said, I want $500. And we're like, okay. Because normally we're used to this model where we pay on a CPA, a cost per acquisition. We paid her $500, and she posted about it and got us 5 sales. And we're like, she didn't even make our money back. And we couldn't possibly make this work if we had to do that. Well, then a girl comes into our office in American Fork, and she goes, I have like 5,000 followers on Instagram. Why don't I post about it? And so since we knew how to do affiliate tracking and track everything, either with a code or a link, we gave her a code and a link. And anybody who clicked on that or used that code, we would give her 20%. And we would allow the customer to get 20% off. So we were losing 40%, but we knew we had the right margins in there to still make money. So she posts about it, 5,000 followers. She gets us 18 sales. Well, we're not, we look at each other, we're like, well, this is the way to go. Go with all the micro influencers. So until 2022, just last year, we never paid one single influencer to rep our brand. It was only these ambassadors that we got to sign up to rep us. They just we have some loyal followers. I think it's the Antlers or something. I don't know. But they love the product. They're just loyal followers, and they're happy to just rep it for us. We don't even tell them to, and they just rep it, and they get paid, and they buy their own product with some of the money they make.
Yeah, and we took all the experience that we had learned from affiliate marketing and our affiliate network, and we applied it to our ambassadors. So we took all that experience that we had learned there, like, hey, what can we pay out? How much are we going to need to charge? How much, and it even helped us come up with the price of our product because we knew what margins we had to have in order to pay commissions and ambassadors.
And today we have over 60,000 ambassadors.
We get about 150 people a day applying to be an ambassador?
And we don't, in the beginning, we were getting made fun of by these other supplement companies because they had smoking hot models, and they had these guys that look like Ray over here that works for us. Say hi, Ray. And they were all big guys and muscly guys and things. And we're like, we're just normal people, and we want to get our brand out. So that's what we did. When we went to the expo, see this fella's shirt right here that he's wearing? Ryan didn't even want to give a shirt away for free if they didn't buy 2 bottles.
Yeah.
So if they bought 2 bottles, we'd all of a sudden give this shirt away. And I'm like, Ryan, these guys are walking billboards for us now, right? So, we grew up really frugal. And the good thing about that is that we never went in debt.
We've bootstrapped this from the beginning.
We bootstrapped it, and we worked really hard to never go into debt and tried to figure out ways to just make it happen. And if we couldn't, we just work until we could figure it out.
All right. So at this point in the story, there's things converging. Mm-hmm. You've got marketing, you've got budgets, you've got margins, you've got cash flow, you got to hire and build out the team. But what you guys are doing involves supply chain. And it involves some science and math and some ingredients. What went first as far as once you were at this point where you could start to branch out a little bit more? The supplements, ultimately, from start to finish, how long does that take to get one out? And what is the process for the team internally?
So internally, for coming up with products, we actually go to ingredient shows where these ingredients, there's one down in Las Vegas called Supply Side West. There's a Supply Side East. They have all these ingredients, all the clinicals behind the ingredients. And what we do is we go and try and find the diamonds in the rough or someone that has a lot of clinicals on that specific ingredient. Then we try to put them together. We come up with a formula. We give it to our manufacturer and say, hey, we want to know what it would cost to produce this product. So really, we're doing all the research, how well it could be marketed, and then we go to our manufacturer and ask, hey, how much is it going to cost to produce this product? Then we take it, and obviously we give it to our content team.
But we tell them the flavor that we want, and then we go do a taste test. So BuckedUp's flavors come from our palates. They're very very good
Yeah,
palates.
they're refined palates. No, actually, we have usually a table of people, and we all go taste test. We all score it, and then that's how the flavors are determined. But it's with the formula that we've already predetermined what the formula is. So.
Well, this watermelon one is very good. To the point, why would anybody drink anything that wasn't zero sugar and tasted like watermelon?
Yeah.
This zero sugar thing is pretty innovative.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the fitness world, a lot of people don't want calories.
Yeah.
Especially from drinking. I mean, even they drink alcohol, they drink beer and stuff, and they get a lot of calories. So they try to limit the amount of calories they get from liquids and other things. Yeah. So
Don't
most
drink
of our
your
products are always sugar-free and calorie conscious.
Yeah. So we met each other for the first time about 4 or 5 years ago at a University of Utah football game.
Yeah.
And it was a fun time, good conversations. Most of us just wanted to watch the game, but I do remember like the deer antler, right? Mm-hmm. That's what stuck out. So anytime anyone brings up BuckedUp, I'm like, yeah. Deer antler still involved in any of the products, all of them, most?
Yeah, like in most all of our pre-workouts, we do have pre-workouts that don't have it, but most of our pre-workouts have deer antler velvet extract. All of our proteins have deer antler velvet extract. And then more importantly, the spray, which is probably the most effective, is a sublingual spray that you get deer antler velvet extract.
And that sells well just because our pre-workouts have really taken off. And people are like, they try the rest of the products in our line. We have come out with over 200 different products now. And our whole line, it's almost like a machine now when you put it in. They just know your reputation, and we try to make the best quality, best
that really
working
works.
ingredients. Mm-hmm. And they know that, so they always try other products of ours. So Deer Antler Velvet, the spray, still does really well for us.
Yeah. And around that time when we met, you guys were probably at your first phase of scaling, if this story timeline. Between you two and your team, because scaling is hard, right? There's bigger numbers and bigger emails and longer meetings, and everything gets a little bit more tricky. How did you guys kind of divide up the duties internally and kind of set your North Star on whether it's OKRs on a month or 2 months? How did you formulate the last 4 years?
I mean, I was concentrating on the ambassador or affiliate side of the business, and Ryan was focused on the BuckedUp side, which is formulating, keeping the bottles in stock, and doing all that. We were really bootstrapping for a long time, and we would just divide up those responsibilities as we went. And then we got to a point where we wanted to come out with energy drinks, and we're like, man, we might need a lot of capital for this. So let's consult with an investment banker or somebody. And so we were introduced to somebody, and he came in and he goes, well, how many employees do you have? And we're like, well, there's like 6 of us now. And he's like, well, I know what the problem is. He looked at Ryan and goes, you're the CFO, the CEO, the CMO. He was doing everything on that side of the business. And he goes, you know what? That's the bottleneck. You need these people. And what was funny is we're like action people. We get stuff done. So within probably 4 weeks, we had every person that he told us to hire.
Yep.
We hired every single one of them. And the CFO that we hired goes, guys, you don't need investment banking money. You don't need money. You're doing just fine. The amount of stuff you sell will pay for the rest. And so we said, thank you. And don't thank you. We don't need any investment.
We just said,
need
sorry,
money.
we don't need your money. We don't need to raise any money to go out and
But essentially, that's how we figured out we just need to hire the right people to be in the right spots to help our business grow. Otherwise, we're going to be the bottleneck.
And the bigger,
it's hard for us.
Yeah, and the bigger our company gets, the more complex it gets. And I've said this today to some people here today, that it just gets more complex. So you have to have the right people. Back in 2000, at the end of 2021, we ended up hiring the CEO, the former CEO of Dr. Pepper, Snapple. And he had a way, he came in and said, look, I can help you guys do your distribution network for your energy drinks. And we were like, but we just sold 4 million cans last year. We sold 4 million cans. He's like, okay, wait till I get my hands on it. Last year, we sold 20 million cans. And this year, we're on pace to almost sell 55 to 60 million cans this year. And that's just by bringing in the right person. And like I said, I had no clue how to do a distribution network. So it's going to require bringing in those people to make that happen.
When he told us how much he costs, we both choked, but
Yeah.
but he's paid for himself 10 times over. And it would have been just in a bottleneck if we tried to handle it on our own.
And so with those distribution channels, like the BuckedUp's in stores, in gas stations, all of that, but that takes a tremendous amount of work to
And a
figure
team
all
of
that
people
out.
to do it. Yep.
Because what started in a field with watermelon, you just can't ring it in and put it in a. So with the growth that you guys have had, you guys seem like folks that like to possibly every once in a while chase shiny objects and be like, oh, we can do that. We can do that.
All the time.
Let's go do that.
Well,
how do you moderate that?
Actually, this is a good point because before we really started, we were doing L-arginine and we were doing almost everything that came our way. And we'd have a lot of people approach us and we would try it all. But Ryan and I, one day we said, hey, but Ryan's like, I think BuckedUp can really go. I think I need to focus on it. And we had some spray businesses and some L-arginine. We sold all of those. And I focused on just ambassadors, and he focused just on BuckedUp. And you know what? That made the complete difference, I think.
Focus made a huge difference.
Is the focus, because you can get distracted, and we still do all the time, get people coming in, and we're like, man, that's a great idea. And we could really help you. However, we have to focus right now. And it's hard because we're the kind, we were talking earlier, we have a hard time saying no and not answering an email or a text. It's hard for us. We're just those kind of people that are going to respond to everything, and we'll stay up till midnight to do it. But we really stayed focused in this last portion of our lives, and it really paid off to focus.
Yeah. I mean, even just the other day, I had a guy that's from myfreepharmacy.com come in and say, hey, I need your help driving traffic, and I'll pay you this to do it. And I'm like, wow, that's huge. Because My Free Pharmacy, you can get all the main generic version of pharmacy drugs, all for $19.95 a month. And I went to my parents. I said, hey, how much is this going to save you? Immediately, it saved them $400. And I'm like, that's a huge opportunity. I could drive massive amounts of traffic, and I just got to say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I want to help. I want to do it because it's going to help so many people. But I just said, I got to remain focused. If I can just keep my eye on the ball, I think focus is what it's all about.
Easy to talk about, hard to do sometimes, tending to the knitting. We're going to open it up for questions from the audience in a minute here, so if we could get the mic ready and everybody get your questions. There's also an interesting facet that I want to touch on briefly. The merchandise sells quite a bit, and these are people that, again, don't get paid to be walking billboards. Is this surprising to you? Is it a plan that you had all along, or are you just rolling with the punches here?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about dividing up responsibilities. We divided up some of ours because we both kind of act like CEOs, where certain people report to Ryan, certain people report to me, and I'm over apparel. But yeah, we don't like apparel. We're a supplement company, but when we first started, we're like, do we really want to do this? Because you got to carry small, medium, large, extra large of everything.
Double X, triple X.
Yeah, it's a tough business. Last year we sold $12 million in apparel, and we're not trying to sell apparel. This year we'll do about $20 million, and it's kind of tough, but it's also fun. You get to see everybody. You go to different places and see people wearing your brand, and you go up and say, "Hey, is that BuckedUp?" And they said, "Yeah, you got to hear about it. It's great." And we're like, "What's your name? I'm going to send you some stuff." But it's fun. It's a fun business, but the apparel side has just really taken off for us. I guess it's the aggressive logo. We went over to China one time and they saw our logo and they said, well, you made this for us, because the eyes are a little aggressive and they're like, we love the aggressiveness and we love the brand. And it resonates with people everywhere. Hunters, up north, down south, everywhere. It just really works for us.
With our brand, we feel like we can cross over into a lot of different genres that nobody else can. Like C4 can't go into the hunting market. We can go right into hunting market. We're now into the Western and cowboy and NFR and all these things that we fit, just naturally fit right into those selections. Like our cowboy thing is taken off right now because we're one of the main title sponsors of the NFR. So it's doing really well.
Yeah, and
so.
Bucked Up is appropriate for them on the they're on bulls. They're not on a buck, but
Yeah.
Bucked Up fits just right in, and it just seems to keep happening like that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic brand and a great name. Questions from the audience. We'll open it up. Raise your hand, and then Mike will come to you.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
It's so inspiring. It just like opens up a vision of possibility, for all of us. I wondered if I could ask you to think back to your that foundational entrepreneurship, when you're starting to think of, how do I start to take this path? And what were some of the most impactful resources that you accessed, decisions that you made that you might give as advice to an 18-year-old, college-aged, wants to be an entrepreneur? How do I get started on this path? Kind of ideas.
So we had some great examples with our parents. Not only did they teach us to work hard, but when they got done with the farming business, my mom went to work and then eventually started this jewelry business. And we learned by example how business was ran and the mistakes that they were making and the stuff that they were doing really well. And we applied some of those same exact principles in our life, and it got us thinking, hey, we really want to do this. We really want to do our own business. But one thing that I always say to people, because I do have my own kids, and I'm like, guys, take it easy. There's plenty of chances, plenty of opportunities to make money. Just get experience. Get the experience and get under somebody's wing and learn from them as much as you can so that you can progress and do it. All the things that we did, from being on the sales floor to producing leads to starting an affiliate network, all those things led to Bucked Up and what it is today. We learned through all those experiences of what happened.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for coming out. This is, at least for me, super valuable to hear these stories as an aspiring entrepreneur myself. But one thing that I often find myself being blocked by, or I hear stories of others, is like, oh, it's too competitive of a market. And like supplements and energy drinks have got to be about as competitive as it gets, regardless of what the margins are. How did you guys get the confidence to go into those markets?
I mean, I think because we're twins, we're really competitive. So we like a good competition. But we always want to be the best, and we'll work hard and gain the skills and different things. But, when we started that Bucked Up, they said, there's no way you guys will do this, and everybody's going to copy your formula. And we said, okay, let's see them beat us at our marketing, because that's what we knew we were good at. And we were good at networking and different things. So it really came down to just knowing, this guy that we hired from GNC to help us with our formula, and where we marked our formula, we actually were the most expensive pre-workout in the market when we came out. They're like, there's no way. There's no way. But we knew how much we needed to market. And now all these people who were stuck in a lower price point, they couldn't compete because we were spending way more marketing dollars to get people to see our brand. Yep. And that's really what made the difference.
Yep. We just said, hey, let them beat us at what we know best, and that's marketing. And we just said, we're going to disclose exactly what it is, and we're going to tell them and just say, go ask our competitors how much they have. And that's really what we did. And then it took off from there. And our flavors just were second to none, above everyone else. Now people have caught up to the flavors, but at the time, no one was even close. And so everybody at an expo that tried it, they're like, oh my gosh, how much is this? I don't care, I want it.
So now there's third-party data out there. It's called SPINS or IRI. And when we actually in 2021, this might open up some more questions, but we brought somebody on. We didn't need their money, but they helped us bring this guy from Dr. Pepper and different things. And the first thing they said is, we got to buy this data for $60,000. I'm like, are you crazy? What are we buying data for $60,000? And they said, we have to do it so we can see where we are and others will see. So when it comes to like flavors, we can go out there on these decks and see whose flavor is selling the best and everything else. And now that everybody's caught up, we can see what is the hottest selling flavors. We can see who's doing the best. And it's great because BuckedUp's always on the top of the charts, and we love it. Like, they get to see us, and that's why we get a lot of people trying to copy our flavors. We have
our marketing.
Yeah, and our marketing. They see how we do our funnels, and they see how, like, we have a product called Rocket Pop. It's the red, white, and blue BuckedUp black can. And other people come out with, like, Bomb Pop because they see that it's selling so well for us. So we get a lot of people copying us, but we think that's a form of flattery. So,
you guys grew up together, right?
We sure did.
Built businesses together. You got a lot of synergy, and it shows, and it's amazing. Can you imagine if you did not grow up together, like you didn't have your brother, and you're doing this alone? How would that differ?
Well, I can definitely tell you it's a big difference. In fact, I ended up winning the CEO of the Year award in Utah. And I really got up and said, hey, I got an unfair advantage. I actually have a twin brother that helps me run the company. We're basically the CEOs of the company. So without, man, it would be completely different. Just the competitive nature that we are. I mean, we literally pulled off, like, no lie, 5 years ago off the freeway right here at Thanksgiving Point and just went to town. Like, we full-fledged fight right off the side of the freeway. And then we got in the car and we looked at each other like, okay, we're done. You know,
so
and
5 minutes
we
later,
just fight it out and just, you know, it was funny. We would go on a mission. We had companions, and I remember my companion being mad at me for something that happened at like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and at 5 p.m. he's mad, and I'm like, wait, are you still mad at what happened at early this morning? This is crazy, because I was so used to Jeff that it would be done in 5 minutes, and we were done.
And it's good. I mean, we literally bounce almost everything off of each other. If there's a questionable, right now we think so much alike. It's nice. It's like having two of you. We think the same. We can finish each other's sentences and be in stereo, you know. But if there's ever a question or ever something that thinks, it's always good to have somebody to bounce that question off and say, hey, do you think we should do this? Ryan's a little more aggressive. I'm a little more conservative.
It's like yin and yang a little bit. So
sometimes, but it's a good mix because one of us is a little more conservative, one's a little more aggressive, and we can bounce those things off. We're at a stage where they just want us to be full press aggressiveness, you know.
Very cool. We have time for one or two more, but I want to get this out because you guys brought it up. The Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year program. Yep. You guys won for the region. Congrats. EY is a great partner of ours over the years, and it's always been great to have the winners on stage.
It was awesome. Very, very good program.
Run us through like how the program was for you, like the application, going through the people you meet, and ultimately like the end result, the cachet of winning.
Oh man, this literally was probably the hardest thing we've had to go through. They were grilling us on questions, and we were like literally a deer in the headlights. That's appropriate. But they were asking us so tough of questions that we were kind of stumbling.
The very first question that they asked when we were interviewed together, they said, hey, deer antler velvet extract is actually a banned ingredient for like the military and for professional sports. We were like, man, they're going hard right off the bat.
First question.
First question. And they drilled us with 20 or 30 questions, and we didn't
think we did that well.
We had a really great experience with Ernst & Young, so it was great.
And it probably like helps you guys like internalize and be like, oh, we have some gaps here, or like
absolutely
bit of a blind spot.
It was a tough process, but I think they want to see how entrepreneurial you have been. And we look back and we're like, yeah, we actually did do a lot of these things that we've been talking about, and it all led us to this point. So, you know, being an entrepreneurial from the start, we never, I mean, my mom would make fun because we had posters of cars and houses up on our walls as teenagers, and she's like, you know, you were my only kids that kind of did that, but it kind of led us down that point. We never thought we would be, even from the beginning, we never figured we'd be working for somebody for the rest of our lives, for sure.
And somewhere out there's a UDOT traffic camera with your guys' fight on it somewhere.
Yeah, probably. Right off this Thanksgiving Point exit. Right?
We've had a few office ones. At least there were people to break that one up and stuff. So.
I love that so much. Time for one or two more questions.
So talk to us a little bit about your Amazon. What are you guys doing there? Do you do that in-house, or how are you managing that?
So Amazon, this is a great story with Amazon. I actually saw that Amazon was coming on. I bought this program, and I asked Jeff's permission. I bought this program and said it was $5,000 to buy a program that teaches you how to make money on Amazon. And I said, I'm deep diving in it. I see Amazon coming on strong. There's all the buyers are there. So I ended up buying that. Then I happened to go to one of their seminars in Vegas, and they upsold me a package for $30,000. And I said, Jeff, they want to charge $30,000.
Hell no.
He was like, no. I'm like, Jeff, I got to do it. I got to sit.
Mr. Aggressive here.
I bought a package for $30,000, and I sat down in front of 5 people that all made over $1 million a month on Amazon. And they were to look at my business, and they were to show me exactly and give me all the tips and tricks that I could do to grow my business. L-arginine happened to be one of them. We were doing about $17,000 a month on Amazon with L-arginine. Within the next month, after meeting with those 5 people, we did over $100,000. And they taught me how to do this business. So I'm like, hey, we got to do these business. We ended up doing a spray business because the guy who was producing deer antler spray for us, he also produced a line. And I said, can I white label all this? So we did a whole bunch of white labels, and I was selling these bottles of sprays that you spray under your tongue on Amazon, and we were crushing it. And then we were like, hey, we got to focus. BuckedUp's doing really well. Let's focus. We ended up selling those businesses off. So today we still do Amazon, and we learned a lot of those tips and tricks that we currently do. Right now we do about $700,000 to $800,000 a month on Amazon. One thing about Amazon is they are Amazon's customers. So we put like limited flavors, like 3 or 4 of our flavors on there, because we want them coming back to our website and buying from us so we can monetize and optimize the traffic and the data. So that's what we do with Amazon right now.
How do you go and build like a community of like affiliates or ambassadors? How do you build a culture around within that community to push out your product?
I mean, one thing you've got to start off with is a base of just something that you really are passionate about. So if you're passionate, you're going to get other people to be passionate about it too. And we were just trying to be like full disclosure when we came out with this pre-workout. And, the one thing is, even in our past affiliate business, we were just trying to be honest and fair and help people be successful. The same thing goes today. Anybody who deals with us, we want them to win. It's a win-win situation. If somebody doesn't win, it's not going to be a long-term thing. So if your affiliates can win, if your ambassadors can win, then it ends up taking off on its own. And that's kind of what we did, and we just tried to create that culture of we're the right guys to work with, and we have good quality stuff,
Yeah, and Jeff, to his point, to his credit, he helped us develop a software program that helped our ambassadors grow on Instagram before they put in a lot of restrictions. So we would be like, hey, let us help you help us. We knew that, hey, it's not what we say about our product, it's what everybody else says about your product. And the culture that we were producing is, hey, we can make money with your company. And not only that is, you guys are very relatable. Half the time we go to these expos, they ask if I even work out. So I'm okay with that.
You take your own product.
You take your own product. I'm like, yeah, look at this. Can't you tell? So
yeah, we really did help ambassadors grow. And right at the first of BuckedUp, we said, let's grow this ambassador program. And we were growing about 500 ambassadors all at one time on Instagram. We would get them followers. And twice a month, they would post about us. But we were gaining about 3,000 to 5,000 followers a month
on each
per
account.
ambassador. So that's 1.5 million eyeballs that they would get on our product twice a month. And it really helped us to just come out of nowhere and really take over on the social scene. And it really helped us to get popular.
And then building it, like, they're going to sense from you that you're really passionate about it, like he said. and it's creating that culture right from the beginning that, hey, we're all in this to win.
My guess is there's a lot of people that want to talk to you still yet. I should ask you this before, but are you able to stick around for a few minutes, or do you need to jet?
Absolutely.
Last question. I drank an energy drink a few years ago. It rhymes with the sound a gun makes. And I went and played golf right after. And it was an unpleasant experience. I was unable to focus. And then I was like sad and despondent. And then happy and couldn't focus again. Couldn't even talk to my playing partner. I'm like, man, I don't think whatever the hell that was good, which would usually in that world like mark them for like they're going to fail eventually or be acquired. Question for you guys is like, as you look at future growth strategies, does that involve mergers and acquisitions? Is it just going to be tending to your knitting? How do you guys look at your future growth?
Well, we actually have already projected out what we're going to do till 2025, to the end of 2025 at this point. It's a tough go, but we have a lot of different things that we have in mind, like BuckedUp gyms with retail stores attached, different innovative products that we're planning on coming out with next year and the year after.
Our international, we did almost zero international last year, and we did 500,000 last year. This year in international, we'll do 8 million.
And so there's a lot of room and potential for growth in these different areas. We have been blessed that we are able to, our EBITDA is really good. Nobody has leverage on us that they can come in and say, hey, do you need money? And we're like, no. But if you are a great strategic partner, we'll consider it. Yeah. It's not about bringing in more money because it's fine. But we're looking to bring in strategic partners that can help us get to that next level. If it's working with another partner that is doing well at international, that has all that experience, hey, by all means, we're open and we'll listen to you.
Yeah, we're open to a merger or something. We're not dumb. We're going to take advantage of anything that we can. We want this to be a household name. Our brand is like a Red Bull,
And right now we do have a lot of PE firms hitting us up saying, hey, we would like to come in and fund your company, and we're just like, no, it's not. We're not in that position. So we're looking for strategic partners if there's people out there.
Love it. Well, I do feel bucked up. Thank you guys for
Get
joining,
bucked up.
and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.